Alright, hey, shalom, akim, shalom. First and foremost, as always, before we get started, giving all praise unto our power, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, the elders, great millstone that have taught us the truth and that rule well. And peace and blessings go out to the hopeful members of the elect, scattered throughout the four winds of the earth, that are in the hopes of receiving salvation and mercy during the time of Jacob's trouble, and that are worshiping the Heavenly Father in sincerity, in spirit, and in truth. Alright? Now in this lesson I want to talk about the recurring characteristics that Esau is blatantly showing within these last days of him being the biblical Edomite, alright, the border of wickedness, based upon the set atmosphere that he's creating for the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and for your average day American. On Halloween night, October the 31st, alright, as you see queued up on this little Instagram video, it says Trump spent $3.5 million on a lavish Halloween party that was themed by Great Gatsby, alright, while 42 million lost SNAP benefits and federal workers have not been paid in a month, alright. Now, as a matter of fact, let me let this video play, and then from here I'll bring out some scriptures. But again, we're living in a time where Esau's wickedness is being put at a blatant, worldview. All right, and he's openly making mockery to you people. And again, nobody has anything to say in terms of trying to make a change, in terms of them outwardly trying to start any kind of revolt. Alright, Jake is still stuck up in that Stockholm Syndrome mentality of thinking that things are going to get better as long as Master is in this power seat of authority. He's got the power, everything's going to be okay. Alright, but that's a reality that's soon going to be nothing more but a fallacy. Alright, so let me let this play real quick, because this Jake, he kind of gives his own little testimony concerning the life that he now has to live in terms of this, SNAP benefit being no more. All right, and boy, are people facing hell right now, man.
Visiting a food bank in my entire life. I've never had the need to do so in the past, but times change. So today is my normally I would get paid today. I don't have no paycheck in my account. I still have bills that are due. I have a family that I have to take care of. So it's a lot of uncertainty that comes along with this. I'm grateful for these opportunities to receive assistance, but there is a lot of uncertainty that comes along with it, and it causes a lot of stress as well.
It's finding ways to make ends meet. Grateful for any sort of assistance programs. We're on WIC for my daughter, who's 13 months old, to get her formula and food. I'm showing up to food banks when I can. We're applying to jobs constantly. Our unemployment just ran out, so now we have no income coming in. It's a challenge.
This is my first time visiting.
So people are catching hell right now, man. Alright, as you heard from this Jake, and that one woman with her 1-year-old child. People are barely making it out here in these hellish conditions that Esau is creating out here, man. Alright, and again, nobody has anything to say when Esau makes these fucking parties, So let me get this real quick in Isaiah 36 and 6. It says, "On Egypt, if you lean on Egypt, it will be like a reed that splinters beneath your weight and pierces your hand. Pharaoh, the king of Egypt," which America, pursuing the Revelation 11 chapter, is known as a spiritual Egypt and a spiritual Sodom. Alright? Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, is completely unreliable. Alright? And this is the reality as to what people are starting to notice based upon this, presidency of Trump having a second term. America, in the foreground of how this system works, has put you in a position where you've done nothing more but lean upon this reed as a sense of stability. Alright? But now, through the set axis of how Esau works, in terms of him using his reoccurring objective of older Abkeo Alright? He's now, putting you in a position where this reed's about to break and pierce your right hand or your forehead for the purpose of you getting down with this new system that's being instated, which is a technocracy. Alright? But the point being is that within all this happening, where Esau's creating this hellish condition, people still don't know where to point the finger. Although they may point the finger at Trump as being, someone that is causing all this havoc, they never know what the solution is. Alright? But we do. And that's to serve, Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, and trust that the Heavenly Father takes care of us during the time where Esau puts all this hell, on lock. Alright? So from here I went ahead and looked up, there's some other videos that I want to play, but before I do so, I want to get this precept in Ecclesiastes 10 and 16. Alright? It says, "Woe to thee, O land, when thy king is a child." And the child in this case is Esau. Alright? The border of wickedness that plays the part of being, a nation that fits the character of acting like a child. Alright? Pursuant to Job the 30th chapter. It says, "And thy princes eat in the morning." Now when you look up this term, thy princes eat in the morning, alright, I went ahead and asked ChatGPT what this means, alright. And it says, "Princes eating in the morning refers to the rulers who feast early in the day, indulging in pleasure and drunkenness, rather than attending to the affairs of the nation." And what does that sound like? It sounds like Trump to me. Alright? Morning was supposed to be a time for work, judgment, and counsel and governance, not luxury. Alright? Here it is, his niggas throwing parties, Halloween parties at that. Thought this was a country built under God. While you people are catching hell, barely making ends meet, and barely having enough money to feed your children. Alright? Now when we go down, under number 4, it says prophetic or end time parallel. In a broader prophetic sense, this verse can also point to the decline of nations and societies. When rulers act like children and indulge in luxury while neglecting justice and truth, the land suffers decay. Alright, and as I entitled this lesson, pursuing to Proverbs 29 and 2, alright, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. Alright? So if the case of this country, being inhabited by Christians, followers of the Messiah, people should be rejoicing. People should be in a mirthful estate, nothing but, peace. But it's the opposite, man. People are in a position where they're mourning, They're fed up with this American way of living. The American dream is completely gone, and now people are facing that reality and seeing that it's nothing more but a damn nightmare. Alright? So let's keep reading on. It says, "It's a picture of moral inversion, where pleasure comes before purpose and self before service." Alright? And a constant talking point that Trump makes when he, is asked about this government shutdown. The point that he always makes is that the Democrats are the problem as to why, your food stamps aren't being renewed, this, that, and the third. Alright? But it shows the lack of accountability that these Edomites have, man. Which Trump is, of course, nothing more but a puppet. But it shows that said notion of them doing whatever the hell fits their, agenda. Alright? Now I went ahead and asked chat, can this precept tie in with the Halloween party that President Trump hosted the other day? And it says yes, you can draw a connection between the proverb in Ecclesiastes 10 and 16 and the recent Donald Trump hosted party. Alright? And it gives us a quick outline. It says how this verse could apply. Leaders indulging rather than governing. The verse uses the image of a king being a child and princes eating in the morning. One might say that a lavish party by a national leadership figure, especially at a time of urgent public need, fits the pattern of leaders who feast while the land suffers. And that's exactly what the fuck it is, man. Okay? Now let's keep reading a little more, because this, little conversation with chat, says a lot. It says, the verse implicitly cares about when the prince eats. In the morning suggests the wrong time. The party in question happened at a moment when public resources were under strain. Alright? In the morning, judgment and righteousness should have flourished. The problems that people are facing in terms of not being able to make, a substantial amount of money to fit their, living requirements should have been addressed. But what's happening? These Edomites are getting lit. Snorting crack, playing with... Yeah, you brothers know. Alright? It just shows the condition of how America is, man. And it's nothing more but a country built upon making merchandise off of the poor. Alright? Capitalism. Let me get this precept in Proverbs. I forget where that precept is. The borrower is subject to the laborer. Or the matter of fact, let me just look it up on Google. Proverbs 22:7. Let's get that real quick. It says, the rich ruleth over the poor, alright, and the borrower is servant to the lender. And that's exactly where we're at, Throughout America being a government where it has a currency built upon nothing more but a fiat currency, alright, people are in debt. And throughout the process of America's dollar devaluating based upon the whole process of how the GDP within BRICS building momentum, alright, and them no more having to rely upon the dependency of using the US currency, the dollar, inflation is a result of that, alright? And the borrower is now being put in a position where they're now subject to be in debt to the lender, alright? Now, when I was, putting this lesson together, I was thinking about the time in Egypt when Joseph, pretty much told the Egyptians to sell their land, their cattle, and to the point to where when they had nothing left to sell, they sold themselves to Joseph for food, And it's the same thing that's going to reoccur within this time period, as Jake is still stuck up in that mentality of thinking that Esau is still for him, But they're going to see that that's nothing more but, again, a fallacy, alright? And Esau doing nothing more but, pursuant to the book of Corinthians, Satan transforming himself into an angel of light. Okay? So let's go back to chat and finish this little article off that it gave us, or this conversation. It says, number 3, symbolic of moral/spiritual failure. Beyond political critique, one could say the feasting symbolizes succumbing to comfort, luxury, and distraction rather than sober reflection and duty. Ecclesiastes often speaks of wisdom, discipline, and the consequences of folly. So you could say that the event offers a real-world embodiment of princes eating in the morning. In the spiritual sense, leaders who feast while neglecting justice. Point blank, period. Alright? And that's exactly what it is, man. So let's read this last little part where chat puts it all together. It says, here is a leader or group of leaders holding a feast of lavish gathering at a time when the land, society, is under pressure. When large numbers of people are facing food insecurity and government programs are shuttered. The feast becomes a symbol of prioritization. Celebrating when governance cared for the vulnerable and just stewardship should dominate. Thus the land is in danger of woe, the kind of ruin that comes from immature or irresponsible leadership. Again, when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. Through Esau's irresponsible leadership, the whole creation is groaning. Okay? So this is the result of, again, the product of what America has created, where the rich get richer and the poor become nothing more but property of the elites. Alright? Now real quick, I wanted to get this little comment that was put on this video that I played in the beginning. It says, Trump parties while Americans starve. We have the money to feed everyone. We have the money to give healthcare to everyone. Americans are going hungry and sick because our corrupt politicians would rather siphon resources to billionaires, eat the rich. Alright? And again, this is the condition of what America is right now, man. You know? And when you go into the comments, man, everybody is in agreement. Alright? But again, who's doing anything about it? Nobody. Alright? Because at the end of the day, this is all according to the will of the Heavenly Father. Now real quick, I just wanted to play this video where Trump is on 60 Minutes and he gives some info concerning the whole, government shutdown. And it just shows, again, the lack of accountability that these fucking Edomites have, man. You know, instead of giving a straight answer, instead of them, admitting at their faults, they always beat around the bush and point the finger. You know? Look at Cain. Look at Esau.
Shutdown in American history.
Democrats' fault.
Under your presidency, we're talking about more than 1 million federal workers who are not getting a paycheck, including our air traffic controllers. You see there's traffic snarls out at the airports now.
Sure. He does not give a fuck. Okay?
This weekend, food aid for more than 42 million Americans is set to expire. What are you doing as president to end the shutdown?
All we're doing is we keep voting. I mean, the Republicans are voting almost unanimously to end it, and the Democrats keep voting against ending it. You know, they've never had this. This has happened like 18 times before. The Democrats always voted for an extension, always saying, give us an extension, we'll work it out. They've lost their way. They become crazed lunatics. And all they have to do, Nora, is say, let's vote.
So, Hakeem,
Senate Democrats say.
And this is nothing more but the left-right paradigm where people continue to be, politically polarized in terms of not knowing what the fuck to do. You know? So as these things continue to escalate, man, we're going to see more and more uprising of the people. And at the end of the day, we're just going to continue to see Esau's true colors come to the forefront. You know? And more and more notarization is going to come to the idea of us brothers, alright, the prophets of the Heavenly Father, giving forth the set true message that Esau has never been for you, alright? Never trust thine enemy. One of the main talking points that we always make at camp, alright? So, I believe that was it. I wanted to play one more video about this, Canadian, I forget what exactly this was, but in so many words, right now Canada is in a position based upon the tariffs of pretty much lowering their standard of living. Alright. Now I made a lesson the other day about BRICS pretty much being in a position where their dependency on America is pretty much not there. So within that process of them no more using the US dollar, America's GDP is going to go significantly down, and that's going to cause nothing more but inflation. Alright, the cost of living is going to be far worse than where it is right now, and as America continues to go through this government shutdown, people are going to be constrained in a worse condition of where they are right now, man. That cinch bag is going to get tighter and tighter and tighter until the point where, in order for it to be loosed, you got to integrate yourself into a new world order where you got to be a part of the system and sell yourself to the government. Alright? So let's listen to this real quick. Slackers, goddamn. There you go.
changes, our incomes will be lower than they otherwise would have been. They'll grow, but they'll grow along a lower. This was the old path. Now there's a new path. which is below the old path. There are things the country can do to try to bend that curve up, but those aren't things monetary policy can do. These are more structural changes. I mean, fundamentally, as a senior deputy governor has hammered many times, we need to get our productivity growth up. And if we can do that as a country, we can bend that curve up. So, I mean, I think what's most concerning is that unless we change some other things, our standard of living as a country, Canadians, is going to be lower than it otherwise would have been. And unfortunately,
Yeah, man. So again, with what's happening to Canada, you can bet your bottom dollar that that's going to come to America very soon. And it already is, Pursuing the second edge of the 16th chapter, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case. But then suddenly, alright, that's where shit's going to hit the fan and reality's going to set in that you're in hell. Alright? If you didn't know that by now, you're going to feel it very soon when you can't feed your children. Alright? When you can't pay your light bill and the lights get shut off and you're going to be freezing your ass off this coming winter. Alright? As our beloved Elder Mwatazak says out here in Cali, man, there's going to be a lot of sad scenes out here where you're going to have the end up, out in front of grocery stores begging for some change with their children out there. It's about to get real, man. So with that, brothers, stay locked in. Understand that we know who we're dealing with. Alright? Esau has always played the same trick, and it ain't nothing new to us. The only difference now within this war that we're in is that we're properly equipped, and that's having the armor of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai and walking by faith, not by sight. And as a matter of fact, let's end off with Habakkuk 2 and 4. Alright? Because this is the reality of what, we're in right now. It says, behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him. And we've showed in this lesson Esau not having an upright spirit within him. Alright? He's batshit crazy. He has not one righteous bone in him. And he's going to continue to do how the Heavenly Father wired him to be. And that's nothing more but to be the wicked for the day of evil. But as far as us, the just shall live by his faith. Alright? So faith is all we have, man, at the end of the day. Through faith in the promises that the Heavenly Father has made with us, we understand that his servants shall eat when everybody else is in a position of, having hard times to get food, But with that, man, again, as always, Lord willing, this was an edifying lesson. I want to end off by giving all praise unto our power, Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachaha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings unto the elect. Shalom.